Hey folks, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well, as am I. Today we are talking about aspartame. You know, that little ingredient in those healthy diet, 0 calorie, low calorie drinks. Well, this guy could be doing you more harm than good. In this video we're going to talk about a little bit of aspartame's history, where it stems from and whatnot, the creation of it back in the 70s and 80s, and also some of the side effects that this little booger can create, and of course from yours truly, some alternatives. Let's talk about it. Aspartame was discovered by a man going by the name of Jim Schlatter in 1965 in his lab when he was attempting to create a more efficient stomach ulcer drug. Jim discovered aspartame by licking his finger and figured out, ooh, this tastes sweet, about 200 times sweeter in fact than regular table sugar. Where you might find it, you might ask? Well, it's very prolific in a lot of diet sodas, chewing gums of course, and low calorie sweetened beverage such as this Crystal Light, which has 90% fewer calories than other leading brands. Not endorsing, by the way. Gotta read your labels, because remember, aspartame can hide under other names such as Equal, Sweet and Low, and NutraSweet. So of course, do your own research. Why you might want to avoid it, you might ask? Well, 100% of industry insiders that have conducted their own research on their product, aka they have financial gain by doing this research, 100% of all these guys have found it safe, whereas 92% of independently founded researchers have found problematic symptoms and side effects with aspartame. In summary of these researchers, 92% of all the guys that are independently funded have found problems with aspartame, whereas in the industry funded researchers, 100% glean it to be good. Seems to be kind of a counterbalance there. You guys can decide for yourself. Yet another study that lasted a period of over 10 years. Man, 10 years is a long time. Who's got that much time? Not me, that's why I'm not a doctor. But anyways, this study lasted for over 10 years and included over 260,000 participants. It's a lot of people, a lot of stuff to keep track of. Anyways, this showed that those who consumed 4 or more drinks a day that contained aspartame were 30% more likely to develop depression or depression-like symptoms. Whereas, on the contrary, those fellow coffee drinkers out there were only 10% likely to develop those same signs of depression. So I think the results speak for themselves. You coffee drinkers, drink up. Other studies have shown aspartame being linked to weight gain instead of weight loss because of the lack of calories to trigger your brain to tell your stomach that you're full. Other research has shown that animals exposed to aspartame in the womb were more prone later on in life to develop heart disease and other forms of cancer, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Not only that, they had more of a sweet tooth going into adulthood and more cravings for sweets. Another interesting tidbit is the fact that methanol is attached to aspartame. Lovers of aspartame will dismiss this little tidbit of information, claiming that, oh, it's no different than the methanol that's attached to jams and jellies, perhaps. But we believe this is different, because the way the methanol in aspartame is broken down by the body, it creates formaldehyde, and you have free methanol and formaldehyde running around in your bloodstream, which is pretty nasty. Your body metabolizes that differently than it does in those jams and jellies. There's a much stronger bond in the jams and jellies, which we will show in the little experiment termed the Gulf War syndrome. Many soldiers in the Gulf War consumed a high amount of diet beverages, such as Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke, what have you. These products were stored in a high temperature, thus releasing that free methanol and creating that formaldehyde, which are toxic. Symptoms these soldiers exhibited were headaches, memory loss, diarrhea, and even seizures. This epidemic was later known as the Gulf War syndrome. In fact, in 1992, the Air Force even woke up and listened to their fellow comrades known as the Cran Eaters, or aka Marines, and instructed their pilots not to consume diet beverages or cokes containing aspartame because of these known side effects. What are the other alternatives, you might ask? Well, one would be smashing that like button, dropping us a comment below, even following the link below for some of this merch if you guys want to support our channel and if you like what we're doing here. But all in seriousness, other alternatives would be stevia, of course. It's kind of one of our go-tos. It's an herbal-based, zero-calorie sweetener without all the nasty ill effects that aspartame can produce. Or, of course, another one would be raw organic honey. Make sure it's unheated, unfiltered, all that jazz. Maple syrup, that's a good one. Not Aunt Jemima's, make sure it's not Aunt Jemima's or Log Cabin. Make sure it's actually pure organic maple syrup. That's what we like as well. Or even some organic dehydrated cane juice. I think all of those alternatives would be better than this aspartame stuff they call food. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Trying to push out more content. And if you have a food group or kind of nasty-ish ingredient that you want us to check out, drop us a comment down below. Thanks for watching.